Okay, good afternoon. Well done, first of all, for finding the venue. I don't know about you, but when I stood outside the door, out on the road, it was, am I here? You know, is this even the road? I didn't know the road hadn't got a sign at the end of the road. You walk up and you thought, is this really Endell Street? Anyway, so, and then you've got to find your way up here. So I think we all do very well for finding your way here, and congratulations for doing it. And congratulations for giving up 45 minutes to listen to me rabbling on about cameras as well. So I hope you're going to find it very interesting. Technology, of course, is very exciting. So we're going to move on to our next slide. It actually works. I apologise if some of you here already know what I'm going to say. There's a lot of very mature, experienced-looking guys and girls here, and so some of you may already know everything what I'm going to say and think, God, that bloke was really dull, I knew, or I learnt nothing new at all today. But today we're going to talk about the history of cameras, about how we got to be where we are now, especially regarding the new large format cameras, which everybody's so excited about at the moment. So I'm going to talk about history, of course we're going to talk about cameras, and we're going to do a bit of physics, and we're going to do a bit of art. So I've got 45 minutes, and I've been told by the organisers to bloody get going. This is me, that's my name. I hang around sometimes atop of very high towers in parts of the world with cameras. Sometimes as lighting director, I light quite big, quite famous people. Sometimes I DOP on commercial sort of thing with that sort of rubbish going on there. Sometimes I lecture, I do quite a lot of teaching and lecturing as well. This is at Ravensbourne College with some very exciting students. Sometimes I'm not director and I like quite large studios. This is, as you can see, probably at Sky, you might even watch the show. Sometimes I sort of DOP on drama-y film shooty things. Sometimes I light big events with big crowds and audiences and very important people. Sometimes I light quite large buildings. Some of you who live in London may recognise this building. And sometimes I hang around with TV personalities. So that's the sort of thing that I do. I have quite a varied lifestyle. Must get on. But first of all, I actually want to take us all a little bit back and talk about how did we get to where we are today. Well, this guy, George Eastman, you may recognise him, was one of the first sort of starters to where we are today. He organised the mass production of 35mm film in 1897. It was half 70mm film, which of course wasn't called 70mm then, which was used as a still negative camera. This was only 52 years after Fox Talbot first developed the first negative, so things moved on quite quick then. Of course, in those days, film was slow. It needed a lot of light, so they shot outdoors in glass houses. They needed all light. Negatives were very insensitive. Some they even shot outdoors. They get even more light, like in Hollywood, where the sun shone, so it all grew a lot where the sun shone. Early film cameramen, of course, much like cameramen of now, of course, standing around waiting, with hands in their pockets. You probably know all film cameramen. And I expect they were probably waiting for sound. They probably didn't know it then, but things probably didn't change back then to how things are now. We wait for sound. You probably know the old joke. Why does thunder follow lightning? Well, of course, even God had to wait for sound. So things haven't really changed very much at all. So here we have a very early film cameraman doing it. And I just wondering when I saw this, what were they thinking about in 1890 when they were filming, starting? So I thought I'd just very briefly run through the thoughts of what this guy might be thinking when he was turning his can. Of course, in them days, cameramen could smoke while they were working, which of course isn't allowed now. So he's probably thinking, oh, this bloody film, God, it's so awful. It's grainy, it judders, it's all over the place. I've got a shallow depth of field. I wish I could work at f/16. Everybody comes too close to me. I've got to go out of focus. It's a real pain, shallow depth of field. And not only that, tomorrow DW Griffiths wants me to track in, and I've got to pull focus then. It's going to be a real pain. I'm going to get somebody to pull focus for me. It's going to be a real pain. I wish I could work at f/16. It'd be really a big depth of field, what I really want. So I'm not very good at acting, I know I'm not an actor. But what I'm just saying is that the film look didn't really come because these blokes thought, I want it to look nice and grainy, I want it to look like shallow depth of field, I want it to look wonderful. They got what they got because big f-stops and a big negative. So television started in 1933, 1936, it started going live from Ali Pali. Television developed into these sort of cameras. Of course, cameramen then in television were one-man band. They focused, they tracked, they zoomed, they craned, all a one-man operation. Colour came along in 1969. High definition we were then, 625 lines, very exciting, and we had colour television, it was great, but still very much a one-man operation. And then it developed right through to where it is today. Of course, we've now got HD, but still the cameras in television are still very much one-man operation. Film developed, as we all know, rushed through. Here we've got a typical film set with two guys there wearing the bespoke film shooting costumes. You have, when you're on a film set, you are required to wear three-quarter length shorts, and of course you are required to wear baseball caps, very often backwards, because that's really a cool, trendy, hip way to work when you're on a film set. But of course Hollywood was very worried about video, because they saw the video where working one-man operation, they were worried about, if they started to do that way in film, they would have smaller crews, quicker turnover. So Hollywood, which was very unionised, was very unhappy about the thought of using video cameras. And of course, also video cameras a few years ago weren't very good as film cameras. Then along came, of course, Star Wars in 2000, and this boast George Lucas wanted to get back and make the Star Wars, the prequels, as you probably know, in 2000. He actually had a very messy divorce, very expensive divorce, so he actually needed some more money. So that's why he really got back into making the Star Wars film again in 2000. And of course there could be a lot of CGI, computer-generated images. He thought what little bit of live action that he was going to shoot, if he could do it on video and make it much, much easier. So he spoke to Sony and Panavision, and they came up with the F900, which was really the first sort of film-like video camera. And Sony then thought, this is wonderful, thought Sony, we can now sell our video cameras to the film people. Think of this amazing marketplace, $1 billion industry, we plug our video cameras to the film world, it'd be brilliant, we could really capture the market here, thought Sony. So they thought this new branding for their film-like cameras, they called it Cine Ultra, even looked like a bit like a film thing. They could have called their new cameras video, super video, high video, all this sort of stuff. But no, they called it Cine Ultra. Because of course film, as we all know, is a brand. Them of you who've done marketing will know the importance of brand is to companies like BMW, McDonald's, Walt Disney, all very powerful brands. And film is a very powerful brand as well. You go out on a film shoot, you don't go out on a video shoot. You think of film, you think of big budgets, you think of Hollywood, you think of red carpets and BAFTAs. Think of video as a brand. People in the bath with their video cameras, weddings, television. Video is like, you don't talk about video. I mean, how many times have you been out on a film shoot with your EX1, okay? Because it's a brand, isn't it? It's all about film. So Sony, of course, talked about their new video cameras as Cine Ultras. To make it that good marketplace. They came up with this 950 after the earlier camera. Then they came out with the F35, which was the very first video camera with a hello.
I'm sorry. The F900 they used on Star Wars. Did they have the small chip?
It did. Yeah. It did. Can I talk? Sorry. I'll talk you on. I've only got 45 minutes. Okay. But yes, it was a 2/3-inch chip camera. Yeah. This was the first 35mm chip camera that Sony had produced. $80,000, it was very expensive. And of course, the Genesis and other such cameras came out as well. At the same sort of time all this was happening, the film producers were looking for a way of cutting money, cutting costs from their film budget, and at the same time these things came out, these video projectors, high quality film projectors, video projectors. Film print cost £1,500 per print. Imagine you distributing Harry Potter. All these film printers going out with a big budget, so producers thought we can get rid of film altogether, we save a lot of money. And at the same sort of time as all this happening, the projectors came along as well. I did a job recently at the O2, UCI O2 cinemas, 13 screens, and at the O2, not one film projector. 13 screens all run from a server. The films now arrive on a hard drive, and the unlock code arrives by email, which then let the cinema show the films so many times. So totally no people, no film, big cost saving, of course. Now, Sony wanted to get more and more into the film market. So, for example, in their EX1 brochures, they talk about cine curves, okay? Cine gammas, not video gammas. No, not about video. We want to talk about film, so we talk about cine gamma curves in their handout. Panasonic did the same sort of thing. In their gamma curves, they call it film-like gamma curves. Again, make film people feel comfortable by using film-like gamma curves, not video-like gamma curves. Very much try and get into the film market. Again, in the EX1 brochure or thing, they talk about shutter angles all of a sudden. Now, us poor video people say, what shutter angles? We use 1080i. Why do I know about shutter angles? What is this nonsense about shutter angles? We're very happy with no 1080i, thank you very much. But no, Sony wanted to sell their cameras to film people, so they talked about shutter angles. So the whole thing was marketing towards selling their cameras into the film world. The BBC brought out this paper in 2002. They wanted to try and define what is the film look. Of course, BBC R&D had lots of mathematics, and if you look up on this paper, you'll see there's lots of graphs and all sorts of very exciting technical things which the BBC engineers love to talk about. And they said it's not just a jerky motion. Well, you could discuss this. Maybe some of you have done theses on what is the film look and try and define what the film look. This is what the BBC did back then. Now you got up to date now with cameras that you can now buy. Now, this is a typical advert from our good old friends TV Bay. I've got to give them a plug because they're paying me to be here today. And if you look around, there are 62 cameras like this on the market. I did a count up the other day, and there's 62 of those sorts of cameras you can buy, not including, of course, the special effects cameras, the high-speed cameras, the little tiddly little cameras. So, I mean, it's so confusing, isn't it, now? If you're going to buy a camera, where do you even start? You're bombarded by this marketing hype from all the manufacturers, all saying that what you want is one of these cameras because it's the best thing since sliced bread, and tomorrow there's going to be a new camera on the market. So where are we now with these sort of camera recording formats? I just want to go through now the common cameras and the common format which are seen to be bubbling up to the top of the charts in the marketplace. Starting with DV cam.